going on, guys? Just going to our Telegram group now. We just went live. What's going on, Ayad? What's happening, Ayad? You're first. Ayad, you're first. Sumit, you're second. What's going on, Sumit? You're waiting the last 20 minutes. I haven't started like that long. Like you're saying you've been waiting the last 20 minutes, Sumit. I've been starting this time / later. I haven't been starting that early recently. Elev 911. Good to see you. I think you're new. I don't recognize your name unless you've changed it. Subby, what's going on? Judson. Thanks for liking it. Guys, give the video a like because you're coming to the live stream. Sabrina. Thanks, Sabrina. Ahmed. EMB. Eosin methylene blue agar has joined. E. coli is a metallic green sheen on eosin methylene blue agar. Mariam, what's going on? Thanks for being a member. Thanks for being a member, Sumit. Thanks for being a member, Nakia. LOL, hey you, love the ring, like the guitar picks, good for you. These are special Blink 182 guitar pick earrings. You can't see, but they're Blink 182 earrings. Nice stickers. What stickers are you talking about? What do you mean? What do you mean nice stickers? Says Mo. Roxy, what's going on, Roxy? Mustafa, what's the difference between your biochemistry PDF and your biochemistry module on the website? They're completely different. Like obviously high yield topics will overlap as they need to, but the modules are just like they're individual topics, more like very informal. Whereas the biochemistry PDF is more just a shorter collection. Even though it's a long PDF, it's a shorter collection of concepts. I love 9. Hey, Mike, NBME score. I'm just going to let other people know that we're live right now. Let's see. LF 9N. Hey Mike, and Mimi scores 9 improving. Guys, give the video a like on the live stream. Hey Mike, and Mimi scores 9 improving for more than a month. What should I do? Examine 6 to 8 weeks max. I'd want to know how shitty your NVMe scores are. So LF, I want you to write down below not just your fucking scores and be like, my scores were this. I want you to write like your whole comment again below with what your scores are, so I know how to actually address your situation. Vakya, good to see you. Are the new NVMEs 13, 14 a little different or harder than the previous NVMEs? The answer is no. Ayad Ali, how's the mood today? It's fine. I'm like better rested today. I was really like cracked out yesterday, in case you guys couldn't tell. For those of you who were in the live stream yesterday, I was like hyper low IQ yesterday. Today I'm like normal. Yesterday I was like hyper low IQ. I was just super fucking tired yesterday. Mawan, hey Mike, I passed step 1. Thank you for all the guidance and PDFs. They really helped me get into NVME's, the NVME's mind, and doing NVME's last month really helped. Div, hi. Div, that's the least enthusiastic hi, like intro you've had in this chat. You're usually like more vibrant, I think. What's going on, Div? Ahmed, why atropine before pralidoxime in OP poisoning? I talked about it in the clip. I literally talked about it in the clip, right? There's those of you here who saw my MCQ I just put out. Like, didn't I talk about that? I said atropine instantly blocks muscarinic receptors, so it's instantly going to have an effect, whereas pralidoxime takes time because it's kicking out the phosphate group on the cholinesterase. So it takes, and then it regenerates the acetylcholinesterase. So it takes time to work pralidoxime. So if they ask you, I think it's NBME 15 or 16 offline for step one, they have atropine is correct, pralidoxime is wrong for what you give first. That was the first time it was assessed as that. It used to be in the past, like when I was studying, where NBME 13 was the latest one online. Everyone just memorized like both drugs, and like we didn't necessarily know in order, but atropine comes first. Vakya. People are saying NBME 13, 14 have different concepts and heavy on histo. Is that true? I mean, every NBME can be slightly different in terms of the theoretical tilt. I mean, histo for step two, like not really high yield. If you say like heavy on histo, like I'm confused as to why you would be heavy on histo for step two. Step two exams are not like histo focused. Oh, Mo, LOL, your phone stickers. The same ones. Well, yeah. So I mean, this is my phone stickers. Yeah, and then I've got this pin. It's the same actually as that. And then on my skateboard, I've got like a big fucking version of this. This he's saying, "Who the fuck is bald?" That's what he says. It says he says, "Who the fuck is bald?" To Japanese, this is like really funny. Apparently, I just thought it was cool. Like I got it. I was like, it's like kind of cool. But like any Japanese who sees it, like they think it's like really funny. Let's see. Sabrina, if I have to choose 4 CMS forms to do, which ones are most important? The internal medicine ones. Guys, give the video a like, come to the live stream. 8 Shelb, good to see you. I think it's the first time you've been here. What do you recommend more, UWorld self-assessments or NBMEs? The NBMEs, not UWorld self-assessments. I've harped on this, that the UWorld self-assessments, they're not the real USMLE. They can have predictive value, but since they're not the USMLE, if we prioritize, NBMEs win. That's how it works. I only prescribe UWorld self-assessments if the student's already exhausted all prior NBMEs. Like for example, if you come to me for the first time over Skype and you say I failed step 1 or I failed comp, CBSE, and I used like all the NBMEs or something, then I can have a student use like NBME 19, 18, earlier forms, sometimes UWSAs. I don't like people doing UWSAs in general because if you do well on a UWSA, it's no problem. It's if a student does shitty on a UWSA, but does normal/well on the NBMEs, that's when we have a problem, because then it creates doubt. Even though it's not the real USMLE, it creates doubt because they still do have predictive value, the UWSAs. So sometimes I get students who are like doing perfectly fine in the NBMEs. They decide to do UWSA 1 or 2. They do shitty on it. And then now we've got to do like all these extra forms like offline because I'm just like, I don't like that data point now. And now we're going to have to get extra points. So I don't, extra data points. So I don't like following up. I've used the analogy. It's like doing some lab tests you don't have to do. You get a slightly abnormal result, and then now you got to follow up on it when it shouldn't have even been ordered in the first place. It didn't matter. So let's see. EMB, can we do your PDFs and use NBMEs as learning tool and skip UWorld? The answer is no. I don't want you doing that. You have to do UWorld. You got to do QBank. Okay, it's not a good idea to skip that. Some of you guys will be better test takers, and you might be able to. You feel like you can get by like shortchanging QBank. I don't want you shortchanging it. I want you doing all of the QBank, MBUS, or UWorld, and then I want you doing all the NBMEs. Yes. My PDFs should be done while you're going through QBank. So like you do your block in the morning, your 40 questions in the morning, 4 blocks of 10 untimed tutor random. And then the afternoon, that's when you're going to do your PDFs and YouTube, my PDFs and the YouTube MCQs. Mo, Mike, what do you think about students failing despite having decent NBME scores? I think it's very rare. I think occasional data points like those can get amplified. I think that's what happens. Let's just say you're not going to go you're not going to get like 220s on your NBMEs for obviously it's a pass fail step one. But let's say 3-digit equivalents. You're not going to get like 220s on your NBMEs for step one. Not 197 is pass. And then you get your real USMLE score, you pass. You're not going to go on Reddit and complain. The people who complain are the rare data points. You have to understand that. And then that gets over extrapolated to the masses. So if for step two, if you're getting 240s on all your NBMEs and then you get a 221, you're more inclined to go on Reddit, even though you are a 1 out of 30 data point. And then other people think that that's like common. It's not. And sometimes there can be a catch as well. In other words, sometimes students maybe they've done they have gone through NBMEs earlier. Like they've reviewed some of them like a year ago or something. And then they redid them, had higher scores, and then they're like, oh yeah, I redid it, and they just didn't mention that. So occasionally there's a catch involved. Aortic regurg says exam. Guys, give the video a like for coming to live stream. Let's get this above 25 likes. It only says 19 right now on my end. AR exam in 6 weeks. Did NBME 24 today? Got 201. Should I move forward or stick to UWorld? Well, 201's good. If your exam is in 6 weeks, you shouldn't have sat in NBME this early. You should basically be starting the NBMEs 4-ish weeks out. So I would just finish QBank right now. And then I would just, we can go one of two ways. You can either do 2 more weeks of UWorld, then do the NBMEs, or you can just start the NBMEs now and then move your exam up about 2 weeks. So depends whichever you want to do. But the 201's borderline. So I would say you got another 2 weeks of my PDFs. I would say 2 more weeks of 40 MCQs in the morning from QBank, even if they're incorrects at this point. Plus in the afternoon, evenings, my PDFs, cardio, pulm, renal, gastro, heme, derm. I want you to go through those PDFs. That's over 2 weeks. And then you can do the NBMEs again. That's what I'd actually recommend because you're borderline with 201. If you were getting like a 215, I could say you could just do the other NBMEs. You could just move up your test to 2 weeks, but I don't want you moving up. I actually want you doing 2 more weeks of QBank. Don't touch another NBME for the moment. And then what happens is when you hit 2 weeks from now, I want you redoing NBME 24 as though you've never done it. And you're obviously going to get a high score because you just fucking sat it. But let's say you get like an 86%. Well, you're just doing it for review. And then you're going to start with NBME 20 and just work your way 20 to 23, free 120, then 25 through 31. And you're going to make Anki of your incorrects. Ahmed, Element, hey Mike, getting good scores lately, but feel like I'm guessing too much. Do I include guesses that into incorrects when reviewing MBMEs? You can, but where do we draw the line? Because if you got, let's say, 70 wrong on a form, but you quote unquote guessed on half of the ones you got right, then what are you going to do? Put 120, like 130 plus? I mean, what are you going to do in terms of, so I think just incorrects is fine. And if there's something that happens to really jump out at you that you got right, but you literally just guessed on it, just be conservative in terms of screenshotting those in with the incorrects. Bassam Zaina. Hey Mike, I've been binge watching reading your content and I'm seeing you in my dreams, LOL. Are you a dude or a chick? I'd prefer if you're a chick, right? I'd prefer that. If you're a dude and you're seeing me in your dreams, well, that's cool if you like my content, but I'd prefer if you're a chick. Mariam Paso, listening to live stream while doing MSK PDF. It's good. I mean, the MSK PDF is really, really good. I didn't mention that. Yeah, you need, like I mentioned before, cardio, pulm, renal, gastro, heme, derm. The MSK PDF is fucking ace. The anatomy, it's on my free stuff tab, guys. It's labeled high yield anatomy /MSK/rheumatology. Taha, good to see you. First NBME 6, 44 wrongs, estimate score, question mark. What am I, fucking AI? You want the thing is the scales differ. 44 wrong in NBME 6 for 2CK is actually not an ideal score. But what I would do, Taha, because NBME 6 is weird, I think 6 and 8 are weird with their scales. But I would just type in Google Images NBME 6 2CK score conversion, and you'll get the graph there on Google Images. And then you just use the best fit line equation, type in 44 as X, Y is a 3-digit score. 44 wrong is actually not a terrific score for 2CK. For step 1, that would be an amazing score in the NBME. Diego. And remember that 6 through 8 are out of 184 questions, not 200. But 9 through 14 are apparently 200 questions. Diego, what's going on? H shall examine 2 to 3 months. What's the best plan to do during this period? Too general of a question. Ask something more specific. 2 to 3 months out, you should be on QBank until, for step 1, you should be on QBank until you're about a month out. And then the final month should be all NVMe exams. L of 9N. Hey, Mike, NVMe score not improving for more than a month. What should I do? Examine 6 to 8 weeks max. Step 1, UWSA 1, 205, NVMe 25, 58%. NVMe 23, 22. What? What do you mean 22%? NVMe 23. NVMe 30, 54%. What do you mean 22%? I think, is that an error in your typing? Did you mean 52? Right? Did you mean 52%? Regardless, it's a fail. Okay, so 6 to 8 weeks max. Well, you got to be back on QBank. I don't want you touching another NVMe right now. So you got to be back on QBank for at least a month. And then you're going to redo those NVMEs you already did. So what I want you doing is I want you going back on QBank, and we'll see how you do. You're going to come out, you're going to redo all the NVMEs you already did, not care about your scores because you already sat them / reviewed them presumably. Then you're going to start with NVMe 20, and hopefully you get 190 plus equivalent. NVMe 20, 197 is passed, but I like to see 190 plus on 20 and 21 to move you forward into the other NVMEs at a minimum. 22 upward, I like to see a 197 plus, and then ultimately a 205 plus when we're at NVMe 27, 28, because I want a 205, 210 plus for buffer, with 197 being the pass. But you got to be back on QBank right now. Your NVMe scores are too low. You're probably going to have to postpone. I know 6 to 8 weeks is like, you say, what, I can't pass in 6 to 8 weeks? If you were like, it's I'm not preaching, but like if you were like one of my students, you could probably pass, maybe. If you're doing it on your own, you're probably gonna have to postpone. Jimmy Quarkhill, do you play video games, Mike? I do not. Someone's asked me that before, though. Many people have asked me that. I haven't played video games in like 20 years. I've never like I'm 36 and a half, right? Let's throw the half in there. But I mean, when I was 16, I pretty much stopped playing video games at the end of a dime. David, do you ever wear the same shirt twice, or do you have like 2K shirts because every time I watch a video, you're wearing a different shirt? I don't have like that many like of the same shirts. I mean, what are we in, like 10th grade? Where like it's like you wore the same shirt yesterday or something. I mean, like this shirt. I have a shitload of t-shirts, but I mean, you're asking if I have 2,000 shirts. Like I don't really know what to tell you. EMB, you skate too. Yeah, I've been skating for 12 and a half years. LF 9, 66%. I don't care. You still just follow my advice, what I just told you. Ayesha Fayez, NVMe 24, 85%, 25, 78%, exam in 6 weeks. You're more than clearing. Just sit the other NVMEs, move your test up. Judah, how high yield is molecular biochem? Hit or miss, because it's a lose-lose situation, meaning if you choose not to study it because you think it's a waste of time, you're going to get like 10 questions on MoBio on your step 1. But if you study it, choose to invest in it, it's not going to show up. So it's a lose-lose. It's a karmic thing. So my advice is if you don't want molecular biochem to show up, then study it. Just cover my biochem PDF. That's what I would say. Cover my biochem PDF. Like everything that you need to know in that realm is like in there. Aortic regurg, you're quoting Ayesha and then you're saying, you scare me, bro. It's clearly a fucking chick's name, Ayesha. And then you say, you scare me, bro. Raja, hey, Mike, I have started my step 1 prep 3 to 4 months back. Should I buy UWorld now? I'm done with 3 systems. Well, you should be starting your prep with UWorld, not like entering UWorld later. Like I've said, you don't do pre-reading. Don't like start with like my PDF. I'd be flattered, but like don't just start with like reading my PDFs, nothing else. Like you should be starting your prep, always doing questions as part of it. Questions in the morning, even if you're getting like 35% correct because you don't know anything. Just start with questions in the morning, untimed tutor random 40, And then you got the afternoon to do my PDFs, my YouTube MCQs, which you can do subject specific. Like let's say you want to build out your cardio, while you're doing QBank and random untimed tutor. Then the afternoon you do like cardio, my cardio PDF, let's say 10, 15 pages. And then you knock out, like you binge watch like 10 cardio questions from my YouTube MCQ playlist. And that can be like, you say, well, I'm going to finish like, let's say his cardio PDF and playlist in a week. And then you move on to pulm, you move on to renal, etc. So you got the afternoon, evening where you're knocking out quote unquote subject specific study, but your QBank, you're always doing an untimed tutor random. That's how I like it for macro retention of the concepts, doing things untimed tutor random. If a student is, let's say, failing actual school, nothing really in the USMLE, like let's say occasionally I just get like med students who are like, they don't even want USMLE help. Occasionally I get students who are like, I just need to pass med school, and they come to me for like coursework. Sometimes I have them go through QBank in subject specific because the aim is like they need to stay in fucking med school. Like they're failing med school and there is no step one in the future if they fail med school. And I'm like, they'll be like, I failed my like MSK term last semester and I have to like redo it and pass it or I'm fucked. And I'd be like, okay, well, we'll do QBank subject specific MSK. And then you've got my MSK PDF with MSK playlist. Like that's how you're going to move through things. But for USMLE prep in general, unrelated to your school's quizzes and curricula, I want untimed tutor random for QBank. Let's see. The general, how was your workout? When? Yesterday? Yesterday I did legs and abs. EMB. Are you into, today I'll do upper body. EMB, are you into sports cars? I'm not. I think, but I live in the city, you know what I'm saying? Like I live in the city, so I can get by with a skateboard. Like if I were like in the suburbs or something, I wouldn't get a sports car though. I would get, I don't know. I don't know what I would get, truthfully, but I really don't know. Cause like, I think as a dude, you're only into sports cars. Like no guy is like actually into sports cars. Like if a dude is into sports cars 9 out of 10 times, it's like, it has no other purpose but to try to attract chicks, right? Like if I'm gonna get my some sports, like some Lambo or something, if I'm gonna get, which I could actually, if I really wanted that, I could, with like vertical opening doors, you know, or something like that serves zero purpose for me. That would just be to like to try to attract chicks or something, you know, rather than taking the train back, just be like, actually, I got my car parked in the station garage over here, and then she sees it's like vertical opening doors on some sports car. That's the only purpose it serves. But for the actual like what do I need a fucking sports car for? Like I'm happy with my skateboard. Div, you're not feeling well today? Well, sorry to hear that, Div. As I said, I was feeling like shit yesterday. I was like hyper low IQ yesterday. I like couldn't think. But I mean, that's how we are. We fluctuate, right? H Shub, they ask a lot of questions about biostats in the exam ? Because it's the only subject I skipped. Never fucking skip biostats. And I've said that because biostats requires significant longitudinal study to learn the concepts. In other words, you can't just like, you know, binge all the biostats questions in QBank in like 3-4 days and like feel good afterward. Like biostats is one of those subjects where you have to like get questions wrong, sleep on it, get more questions wrong a week later, skip on it or sleep on it. And like you wake up and you like kind of understand it better over time. That's how biostats works, the concepts. So it's a longitudinal topic. EMB. I don't like UWorld when you say QBank, you mean UWorld, right? Yes, UWorld and Boss. Robert Constantine, Anakai, good to see you again. Hey, Mike, is it reasonable to believe that I can get 60%, low 60s anyway to high 60s, 70% question mark in 1 month of dedicated, or should I postpone? Well, where are you sitting right now? Cigar Patel, I don't know where you're sitting right now, Robert. Cigar Patel, hey, Mike, what's up? Good to see you, Cigar. Zoatal, good to see you. I think first time I've seen you in my chat here. Not really improving in a few weeks. Any tips? When's your exam, Zoatal? When's your exam? And when you write your next comment, rewrite, say I'm not improving in a few weeks. Any tips? My exam is X date. EMB, please give some tips on how to retain material. I keep forgetting what I studied. Well, I've said on how to retain better, you're just going to read going through QBank. You're not going to make Anki cards or annotate or anything like that. Some students think that's weird because they say, well, how am I going to remember things if I'm not like making cards, if I'm not annotating? I said, you just read. That's literally what I want you to do. I think annotations are overrated. A lot of the things you annotate now, like, you're going to look back and be like, why did I think that was either it wasn't important, you thought it was, or it was like way too easy. As your knowledge base grows, just 2 more questions, you're gonna be like, why did I like that? I struggled with that question mark. So I think annotations are overrated and they just consume time. I don't want you making Anki cards from QBank. You got to just read and understand that remembering, forgetting, that's a normal process, and that you're going to be a sieve. That's just how it works. No matter how high you're scoring, you're going to be forgetting things. Guys, give the video a like for coming to the live stream. Cigar Patel, old free 120, 83%, new one 80%, shifting to 25 now. Thanks for your content. Anonymous T, CMS forms, continuous, 38 out of 50. How's that? That's decent. I'd like 40 plus, but you're over 35 out of 50, so over 70%. That's good. Geez, Lee, good to see you. I think it's the first time you've been in my chat here. You're saying how bad is repeating a rotation due to failing a shelf exam? My school says it's not a big deal, but it depends, right? I mean, like, I think the thing is, when you're in the midst of med school, like you're in your current situation, it feels like the end of the world / like, this tragedy. I can tell you that like the further in time you get from these types of things, like if a committee, unless you're trying to apply to fucking Stanford or something, okay, the vast majority of programs like understand that like setbacks are like part of that's normal. And like a lot of these committee members, et cetera, maybe they had setbacks themselves. Okay. So like, once again, unless you're really like, you're trying to get into a very competitive specialty at a competitive school, like as long as you get good USMLE performance, I was going to say scores, but we only have 2CK now for numerical. As long as you get a good 2CK score, like that can basically override most of your problems. Like you can just get like a pretty good, let's say you get like a 250 on step 2, which is like very solid. And then, you had a couple setbacks on rotations or something, like you're fine at the vast majority of programs. You just can't have entitlement. And, but they say it's not a big deal. I think they're right. I think they're right. Hussam, you're the best. Crypto Train with Will. What's up, Mike? Just start your highlight arrows. It's top notch. I agree with that sentiment. Benoit, Sandor, sup, Mike. 58% blocked today. My highest so far. Progress is slow, but I'm getting there. Thanks for your content. Crypto Train with Will. Since I wasn't the first here, I want to be the first to retract my message. You weren't. Oh, there you go. But you weren't the first. You had some people earlier who retracted their messages. People are fucking weird. People like are shy. I almost banned someone from the Telegram group today for deleting their message. I think some of you in the chat might know what I'm talking about. Like I said, don't delete your message, because someone like mentioned something and then I responded to it and then they fucking deleted their message. And then what it does is it creates like uncertain. Everyone else is like, what is he responding to? Like they think I'm like just weird responding to like nothing or saying comments out of like context, or like, what is he saying? Because you create confusion for everyone else. I don't like that, because you fucking waste my time when you delete comments in the Telegram group. And I almost just banned the person. Like I didn't, but like I almost did. Ayad Lee, do you watch soccer? I don't think soccer is interesting. I don't know what to say. Like when I was younger, I really liked soccer. That was my like football. Some people get really like, paranoid. They get like offended if you call it soccer. But I think that was my favorite sport when I was like in elementary school. That was my favorite sport. But the kids in my elementary school, everyone wanted to play football, as in North American football. Okay. And that's kind of what happened. It was influences. I think if I grew up in Brazil or something, I would have been like a really good soccer player. But like no one wanted to play soccer. None of my friends wanted to play soccer when I was growing up. And I kind of like, my interests evolved in other things. And I ended up going to, tennis camp and stuff like that for many years. And I'm pretty good at tennis. Benoit Sandor, halfway through your GI PDF, and I noticed there's a lot of pictures. Will the step one also a lot of pics? Just wondering if I put pictures in, it's only because they're high yield. Yes. I don't trust me that I don't waste anyone's fucking time with content, my content. So you're thinking of the GI, like the gastro histopic, literally gastro is in the stomach, which there's a question on one of the NBMEs where you have to identify the parietal cell, right? And so it's like kind of in the middle from top to from like superficial mucosa down to bottom, glandular, right? So it's more pink eosinophilic, the parietal cell, whereas deeper chief cells that secrete pepsinogen, more basophilic, purple, they have that on one of the MMEs. You gotta know that. Um, so there's different aspects, different things you should know. But anything I put in my PDFs, yes, you should know. Let's see. Find myself, Mike. You don't get tired of answering our same dumb USMLE questions all the time. The answer is yes, I do. But there's no entitlement to growth. Okay, so I don't want to make this a life story. Some people get really annoyed when I start talking about me. They're like, just Mike, focus on the medicine. Okay, like I get it. But I've said before that like 99.9% of the time, people don't grow by accident. Okay, 0.1%, you can put out like a video that goes viral. 99.9% of the time, it's because you put out content every fucking day. You answer the same dumb questions every day. So I've said that in like 5 years or something, if I'm a lot bigger, if one of you comes back and you're like, I remember him 5 years ago when I was prepping for USMLE, I remember him. He was like way smaller at the time. He's like bigger now. And be like, well, let there be no confusions because I was answering the same dumb fucking questions for like 7 years. I mean, so there's no entitlement. I'm just saying, like, you have to, that's called community development. EMB, can you please tell us like ideal study routine from morning to nighttime? Like, let's say I wake up at 6 a.m. What should I start the day with? I do 40 questions of UWorld, and afterwards, how should I divide our day? You're asking for, if you're talking about like a very specific militaristic plan tailored to you, obviously I do Skype sessions for that. But I've already said broadly, like umbrella type statements for most of you guys that one way you can structure your day is you do like 40 questions in the morning, untimed tutor random, 4 blocks of 10. You have your lunch break, and then the afternoon can be my PDFs and my YouTube MCQs. If you don't feel like doing the PDFs, YouTube MCQs on a given day, like let's say you had really good momentum with the 40 questions in the morning, and then you get to the afternoon, you're like, well, I could do another block of 10. Okay, you knocked out 50. And then you knock out 60. And then you say, okay, fuck questions. Now I'm going to do like his PDFs or something. So you can titrate up to 80 questions on a given day. Max minimum 40, maximum 80. But you should really work in the PDFs, YouTube MCQs as well. Fahad Saul, please complete guide for step 3. I have 1 month and can do 12 hours a day. Thank you. Well, I mean, the vast majority of you guys are in step 3. Yes. I mean, the thing about step 3 is it's a long discussion for most people. It's a long discussion relative to the number of people I'm actually speaking to when I talk about step 3. Like I answer your question for 20 minutes about step 3 when like everyone else in the chat is not step 3. There's step 1 and step 2. But the long story short is you're going to do the 1900 questions for UWorld. And you're also going to do all the CMS forms the same way you do for 2CK. And you're going to do all the 2CK NBMEs as well for step 3. And you're going to do CCS cases, not the UWorld ones. There's like ccscases.com that they're way cheaper and they're better. You're going to do those like 2-3 a day while you're going through UWorld, like in the evenings to gain familiarity. Okay, there's a lot we can talk about, as I said. If you have more questions about step 3, just drop them below and I'll answer them in pieces. Shelb, I find it harder to do UWorld. You can tell me for step 3 whether you sat step 2 very recently or whether you're like further out in time, whether you sat 2CK a long time ago. Fahad, you can tell me that. Shelb, I find it hard to do UWorld with mixed subjects. I'm better with solving each subject individually. Do you recommend start doing mixed blocks if my exam is soon? I've said untimed tutor random. Some people feel like they pack the punch better doing subject specific in UWorld, but I want to see you do untimed tutor random. Benoit Sandor, you mentioned previously that you failed MCAT. That's a joke. I never failed MCAT, bro. But you're USMLE boss now. What was your? That's obviously a trolling question. I aced my MCAT, but you don't make friends by like talking about numbers. And the other thing is like you don't just go from failing MCAT to getting like high scores on USMLE. It doesn't work like that. As I said, I'm not going to give exact numbers, but let's just say I did very well in my MCAT. Anjali, if I've fallen behind with doing my 80 questions per day, should I spend a couple of days doing 120 questions per day, or should I just worry about finishing cubing? I don't want you doing 120 questions per day, maximum 80 questions per day. So 40 minimum, 80 maximum. Poll. That's funny. That's funny. Mustafa, that's funny. I mean, if you have like a serious question, but I mean, Christian, Muhammad. Mike, do you have the Opthal and ENT PDFs on your website all in capitals? Opthal PDF, no, only because I have no interest in that right now, but I will eventually put out something for Opthal. ENT is within the pulmonary PDF, I believe, for the most part. There's a lot of ear, nose, and throat in the pulmonary PDF that I put out. A lot of the pediatrics for that too. Atheist Outlaw, you say, I'm an ugly looking guy, and other day you said girls go for looks, so what do you do? What do I do with my face? Will plastic surgery work? That's what you're asking. The answer is that would help you, yes. That will trigger some people, but it's not our faults as dudes that women only care about looks. I've said that. Okay, so within social circle, looks don't matter as much. When you see an attractive female with a male who's not so attractive and there's no judgment, it's just guys ask about this a lot, that I've said it's social circle, where she happens to know him from the office or from PBL, CBL. They see each other in clinical coaching all the time, or it's her friend's boyfriend's coworker or whatever, and they all went out together. So there's some sort of social circle interaction 99% of the time when it's an attractive female with a not so attractive male, no judgment. But you're asking about like presumably non-social circle, where you want to meet girls who are, off the street or wherever. Yes, I've said that they don't care about personality. They don't care about your hobbies or ambitions. They don't care about your intelligence. They only care about looks. And, some people, they get very like umbrageous or irascible when you mention the idea of looks maxing and plastics, but it will help you. Yes. Benoit Sandor, what countries have, I think it's fine, and if a female has had enhancements, I like that. I like females who look like they've had enhancements. I prefer that in a female. Benoit Sandor, what countries have you lived in? Well, I've lived in Japan over 7 years. I'm a permanent resident here. And I lived in Australia for 7 years as well. That's live. Let's see. Ajiz Lee. Awesome. Thanks for your opinion on my repeat. Been grinding for 2CK to compensate and about to bounce to study some more piece. Anu, good to see you, Anupama. You've been like a good follower. I've seen you for a while on my content. Your name pop up different places. I'm like your friend got a 255 and 2CK thanks to your PDFs. He's 5 years away from graduating, as in 5 years post-grad, you mean? He just wants to enter US residency. Which specialty safest to apply? Firstly, he needs a step 3, not just a 255. He should be sitting step 3 this year before he applies. And safest, I mean, internal medicine, family, peds, obs gyn, psych, ACOL, ACOL. Good to see you. Hey, Mike, thanks for everything you do. Sumit, hi. Am I like cracked out right now? You said hi way back, Sumit. Marion, greater than 215 MBMEs 2024. Good. I want to reschedule a test for August 11th. Okay, that's fine. But I will need more time to do the EBSAs. No. Is it worth it? No. The answer is no. You're not going to do the EBSAs. You're just going to finish NBMEs. If you're greater than 215 on 2024, I want you to do free 120 next. And then I want you to do 25 through 31. And then I want you to just sit. You could possibly sit the very end of this month. As long as you're getting 205, 210 plus, you're objectively ready, regardless as to how you feel. UWSAs are not going to have a role in your prep. No. They're not going to have a role. Daniel Arajo. Hey, Mike. Good job, bro. Thank you for all. Mustafa, how can we get a Skype session with you? You go to my website, Mehlmanmedical.com. You go to the pricing tab. And then if you can handle not paying rent, then you can get a session. Okay, so you can get a good plan, everything you need. not pay rent, and you can sit and, like, I don't know, sleep in the library or something for a month, study, but you'll have your plan, everything you need to do, and other assessments, other discussions as well. John Bashara, maybe 2028 finished. John Bashara, 67, and maybe 27, 69, and maybe 28. What do we, N27, N28? Like, what? Exam in 2 weeks, ready to go, question mark. I'm reviewing MME's high yield PDFs. Your scores are borderline. Okay, not bad, but borderline. You got to sit the other MMEs ASAP, and I want 3-digit score conversions at 205, 210 plus, as I said. 67, 69% are different between the forms. It's like Celsius Fahrenheit conversion, but I'm OCD about where your scores are. So what, recognize John Bashara that 197 is pass, internal equivalent for step one, but you're going to go on Google Images and type NVMe 28 score conversion Reddit, NVMe 25 score conversion Reddit, and you're going to get the graph, best fit line, plug in your number of rungs, get the 3-digit scores, and I want 205, 210 plus. A call. I've been studying on and off for step one for a while. I did 50%, maybe 20. Didn't study statistics yet. Only used 35% UWorld. 42nd percentile. Okay, exam in 4 weeks. Should I do UWorld or MBME? If your exam is in 4 weeks, you need to be done with UWorld. You need to be on the MBME exams. But you said you got a 50% MBME 20. If that was recent, you're in no position to sit the USMLE anytime soon. I mean, it makes sense. You haven't finished UWorld. Like, this is entitlement. This is like audacity that you think you're ready to sit USMLE when you're only in 35% UWorld. No wonder you only got 50%, maybe 20. You say you didn't study statistics yet. It doesn't matter. 50% is way too low. 60% is also a fail. So you would need, like, I would say you're going to postpone. You're going to postpone. You got to finish all UWorld, and you got to do my PDFs and YouTube MCQs, and then you can go to the MBME exams. John Bashar started 59%, maybe it's 2021. Am I on a good path? No, it's not a good path. You're feeling a bit anxious for the real deal. Okay, well, I don't like those scores. I already told you you can get 3-digit score conversions, but we want to be looking at like high 60s to 70 plus, not 59%. Guys, give me a like, comment, live stream. EMB, where did you give your USMLE? I sat step 1 in New York. I sat step 2 in Australia. How long did you work in the hospital setting? Well, I graduated med school and I moved to Japan. Benoit Sandor, my bad, dude. I must have misheard about the MCAT thing. Bro, that's like laughable. That was like one of the biggest trolls I've ever like heard. I don't know how to react to like dumb trolls. That's the thing. Like, you came in my live stream and you say like, oh, I failed my MCAT, but that I'm a USMLE boss. That must just be like Reddit trolling or like misinformation or something. Because like the one thing that's not going to make you friends, like anyone in this chat can think back to like high school or college, to like people where they're like, I got this score. They're like, I got this on my MCAT, or I got this score on my SATs. And like, if it's a high score, especially, that doesn't help you make friends. In fact, it does the opposite. It alienates people. So I don't need to talk percentiles or anything, but like, I did well in my sciences in particular. So, I mean, that's like, I mean, what do you want me to say? Is just, I guess you must have misheard. Yes. Tushar, did you watch any Bollywood movies? I have not. Unless you talk about like Slumdog Millionaire or something, which is obvious. I think most people have seen that. It's a good movie. The answer to that question, Mustafa, is largely because of macro. It's because of ongoing. That's something that's accumulated in the macro. Because those data points on my end, they are from a while back as well. Okay. And so those things accumulate in the macro. And it's only more recently that accruing those types of data points, Mustafa, has become more difficult for men. Not just, I'm not referring to myself in particular. I'm saying that like there's quite a few guys who are encountering difficulties in that direction. Young guys who are attractive, no homo, and like I think guys are having difficulty finding plates. And I think that a lot of that is there's an increased shift toward negative macro women, which means that women increasingly occupy a state where their hypergamous thresholds for dating a male, or not hooking up, dating, as in not ghosting a male, are exceedingly high if the male is outside social circle, where you can still find a girl for something very short term where she'll hook up and ghost you. Guys don't have problems with those interactions. But in terms of securing these more macro plates, as you put it, females' hypergamous thresholds are exceedingly high, where that's a shift we're seeing now. So I think that if you consider that I've had success in that domain, a lot of that is a macro effect, something that I've accrued from the past that's carried forward to the present. Ayad Ali, can I ask a non-medical question now, or is it too early? Ask your fucking question next time rather than that's the number one thing I hate, because it wastes time. EMB, yeah, I also say if someone DMs me, can I ask you a question? I ignore it. EMB, yeah, I also want to say thank you. Your PDFs have helped a lot. I also hate FA. I stopped reading it. Crypto trading with Will, when you refer to women only caring about looks, you're referring to just the initial interaction ? For long-term interactions nowadays. I feel like money. No. I'm actually referring to. I'm referring to beyond the initial interaction. A male doesn't have to be attractive and can. This is. I mean, I understand this conversational topic can trigger some people, but I'm being asked the question in my live stream. I'll address certain things, but the male need not be attractive in order to get a hookup, an initial hookup, if he meets a female on the spot, if that's his goal. Meaning that if you walk into a station, you open 100 women, you say, let's go to Starbucks. No. Let's go to Starbucks. No. Let's go to Starbucks. No. Let's go to this cafe. 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 Sure. And then you're in the cafe. Let's watch a movie. No. You walk back out. Let's go to a cafe. No. Let's go to a cafe. Sure. Let's watch a movie. Sure. The male doesn't have to be attractive. It's all about timing. It's all about timing. It's all about forwardness. It's all about timing. And so, but he's got to play the numbers game, and he's got to be willing to handle rejection. Most guys can't handle that. Most guys take things so personally that they can't handle the constant no's. But the male does not have to be attractive for that to happen. But when we talk about beyond the initial interaction, for a girl to actually say, I'll see that guy again, then he's got to be attractive. And so, that's the unfortunate scenario if the male is outside social circle. If he's within social circle, meaning he knows her from, like, as I said, PBL, CBL, like from the beginning, or, as I said, brothers, or not, like brothers, coworkers, friend, whatever, there's a social circle interaction there. He can sometimes bypass the looks requirement. And as I said, that's how you can get attractive women and not so attractive men, no judgment. But if she's meeting the dude off the street, he might be able to hook up, if he's forward, but on the spot. But for her to want a subsequent interaction with him, I've said women only care about looks. That's what I've said. No, they don't care about your hobbies. No, they don't care about your ambitions. No, they don't care about your intelligence. They don't care about any of that stuff. It's just looks. And this isn't negative. It's not like, Mike is nihilistic or anything. It's just, there are some women watching my live stream right now who are like, he's right. I only care about looks. Yusuf Akmaz. Hi, I'm a fourth year at a 6-year med student in Turkey. Recently decided to study for USMLE. Any advices for having best profile and get matched? High 2CK, high class rank. Nothing else matters. Jenny Bush, step 1, you say random mode. For step 2, we are subject specific because of rotations. Okay. Should we fit in random mode? No. Or is it different due to schedule with rotations? Okay, good question. I've talked about this, where if you're on rotations, let's say pediatrics, you're going to do all the pediatrics questions from UWorld or AMBOSS. You're going to end up doing all 8 CMS forms, clinical master use forms for pediatrics, twice, not once. You're going to do my PEDS PDF. You're going to do my PEDS playlist from YouTube. That's the tetrad, all 4 of those things. And let's say you've got extra time. Let's say you finish all the QBank questions, and then you're able, let's say your rotation's not busy, you can get through all 8 of those CMS forms in 8 days. Let's say you do like 2 per day, and you're doing them all twice. So that's 8 days to get through all 8 forms twice. And then you calculate, like, well, I'll have a gap in the middle or something. You can fill that in, not just with my PDF and the YouTube MCQs, but sometimes you can even do incorrects from UWorld or AMBOSS, or even switch to the other QBank. If you have a long rotation, like a 12-week rotation, for instance, you could fill it in with even like another QBank. But yes, if you do the tetrad for each rotation in subject specific, quote unquote, that is how you will high pass / honor your rotations. Sacred Scout. Doc. Okay. Well, I sort of just harped on this. I sort of just talked about it. I answered the question already. Crypto Trading with Will asked about it. Sacred Scout. You said you recall correctly. You're asking, you recall correctly that getting follow-up dates is just about looks. You personally disagree and think it's about aura, spirituality, awakening, energy field. What do you think? I mean, I know you must be trolling. I hope you're trolling. Okay. It's like, because if you're not trolling, it's a very romantic, no pun intended. It's like, it's very romantic as far as like, wishful thinking that women give a fuck about that sort of thing. I've said women don't care about male personality. I've said that they just care about the male appearance. No, I don't think your aura or your energy mean jack fucking shit. I think women just care about looks. Atheist outlaw, are you first generation doctor? A lot of people ask me this every day. I graduated med school in Australia. I did graduate school there as well, and I moved to Japan. I just do USMLE stuff. Benoit Sandor, your streams are like 3 a.m. my time, so I'm pretty out of it during your lives. My bad. 3 a.m. your time. Well, it's 4:30 a.m. for me right now. So you must be in Asia. Or yeah. Let's see. That's funny though. You're gonna complain to me. That's hilarious, actually. You're gonna complain to me. I know you're saying I'm not complaining, Mike. I'm just making a point. I know, but I'm just saying it's funny that like you're saying in the comments here that you're fucking out of it / tired during my fucking live streams. I'm the one who's answering the fucking questions. All you have to do is sit there, tired as fuck. Doesn't matter. It's 4:30 a.m. for me. I mean, so if I can answer questions middle of the night, you can handle hearing passively questions middle of the night. Atheist outlaw. So doctors marry outside the field? Question mark. How does that relate? Sacred Scout. Too many words. Sacred Scout. Too many words. Can you ask like shorter questions right now? Waleed Ahmed, will having strong knowledge in micro and farm make you perform well in your rotations? Not really. Like micro and farm it's good knowledge to have, but I wouldn't say like they really like help with your rotations per se. Farm helps with like if you look at charts. I mean, that's pretty much where it ends, just looking at charts. Micro help basically nil when I was on. Like literally the only thing that comes to mind regarding micro, I'm not joking right now. Like it's an n equals 1 anecdote, literally. Like I was in 4th year, one of my final rotations, and like I was getting a coffee with like, a doctor on the team, the registrar, who was like 5 years out of med school. He wasn't the attending, and there was like a more junior doctor on the team, and I. So the 3 of us were having a coffee during one of the breaks, like after ward rounds or something. And like the registrar asked me, he's like, "Do you know what kind of organism Staph aureus is?" And I was like, "Yeah, why?" And I talked about like propriety and etiquette, and you always are like humble in the way you communicate when you're in these situations, regardless. But like, he's like, "Do you know what kind of organism Staph aureus is?" And I was like, "Yeah, why?" And he was like, "What kind of organism is it?" And I was like, it's gram-positive coccus." And I was like, "Coagulase positive, catalase positive." He's like, "That's like really good." He goes, "Because one of your like comrades, we were in 4th year. I was in 4th year med. He's like, one of your comrades or colleagues, like didn't know that like the other day or something." And I was like, all right. That was literally the only like I'm just thinking off the top of my head. I don't think micro had any role for me in medical school apart from USMLE. Like it was just like I don't think it ever mattered once when I was like 3rd year, 4th year for anything. I don't think it ever mattered at any point. Like I didn't do a strict ID term, but like to ask if it helped, like even internal medicine and stuff, where all that stuff's very broad, I don't think it like ever applied. I was interested in ID though when I was on IM. Like we had some lectures. This dude who was in ID in Australia, and I thought I was more interested in that than like other people were. And maybe it's because I had like good micro and farm knowledge from USMLE, so I could like understand and relate, and like I liked that stuff a bit more maybe. Let's see. I'm just reading your comments, Sacred Scout. I don't want to hear about your app dates. Like why do you think I want to hear about your app dates? Like, I'm like wooden tennis racket, old school in terms of like, I think in principle you should like meet girls in real life. I don't think you like you want to go on. You want to ask me highly specific questions about your app dates. Like I just think that's like cuck. You know what I mean? Like I understand the changing landscape. I talk about digitization and like I get it. Like I get it. Um, but you're asking about like app dates. Um, But to answer your question though, like if I'm going to answer your question, as I said, when I'm doing my medical live streams, I do I toe a fine line between like trying to answer some questions occasionally that are non-med, and recognizing that some of my audience doesn't like that, okay, because it's not why they're here. But also, I'll attempt to answer some questions. Um, but the answer is yes. I think that overall, if you do have a cuck app date, if you're using your apps, yes, I do think girls are more likely to hook up from them. Marianne Paso, thanks for answering. So do you, but I think it's cuck. I think you should meet girls in real life. I think you should walk up to girls in real life and meet them. And yes, they will reject almost always, but I'm just wooden tennis racket. I think, call me old school, but I think that that's like, I guess I romanticize that as being like the way that men should meet women, even if that's like being phased out by digitization, doing the IRL, in real life approach, the way that Bitcoin is siphoning the pecuniary value out of gold, as I've articulated. EMB says, I have a friend, she's really beautiful. All these like, you guys want to ask me about like dating, don't you? As opposed to just like, as I said, there's people here who want my USMLE chat right now. Let's see. I mean, what are you asking, EMB? Must be the cash. That's what you're asking. EMB, are you actually a girl? Are you really? No way. Let me see. Trying to ask you. I don't know if you're joking right now. You're saying you have a friend. You're a girl. You're saying you have a friend. She's really beautiful. Everyone says her husband is ugly, but he is a physician. And then Benoit said it's because of the cash. Well, there's no judgment. There's no judgment. Um, there's no judgment, especially, I said that I had insecurities about my appearance is something I've struggled with my whole life. And I had very negative voices growing up about my appearance. I was bombarded with negative voices. And I struggled with appearance into my 20s in particular. I'm 36 and I'm a lot better now. And the relationships with certain people in my family who gave me very negative voices and harmed my self esteem when I was becoming an adult. I've forgiven those people, but the positive result of having that macro adversity is I'm very non-judgmental about appearances in relation to character of other people, and I can observe that other people are highly judgmental of others' appearances. Even if I might talk about appearance, I'm very non-judgmental about that. So when there's that comment about like, you say you're a chick and that you happen to know like some beautiful woman and she's with a doctor who's ugly, but I've said that it's social circle. Okay, it's social circle, and that they happen to know each other through those means. And because if she's meeting him off the street, the chance of that following through is very low. As I've said, women only care about appearance. That's my view. Let's see. Women only care about appearance for guys outside social circle. Some people say that's not true, Mike. We care about it. It's not. That's a lie. Let me see. Let me see. Just That's the second time you've asked about elliptocytosis, HUD. It's the second time. What is that? Like, I mean, like, what is the reasoning you're asking? The reason you're asking about that? USMLE doesn't give a fuck. I don't think I've ever once seen a question on elliptocytosis. I don't think I've ever seen that asked. Angela, what's up, mate? What's going on, Angela? What are you up to? What are you doing? Ezra, Alet Kawi. I seem to never get any question right in molecular bio, not even understanding the explanation. You world, I did your PDF and I nailed the metabolism, but molecular is getting on my nerves. Okay. Ezra, shorter version, how to study molecular biology. I've said my biochem PDF. Krishan, Mike, you're Krishan Mohammed. Mike, your pharma and biochemistry flashcards are enough for step 1. Thanks for all your stuff out there. Sacred Scout. You say, what are the reasons a girl might not hook up despite being initially positive micro? Lack of masculine polarity? Lack of masculine polarity? Or is it just lack of forwardness? Well, the definition of positive micro is the chick actually hooking up. So if she doesn't hook up, then she's not positive micro. If she seemed receptive, if that's what you mean, if she seemed receptive, but she didn't hook up, then that's what you call positive BSU, where her behavior on the surface seemed as though she was into you, but then she ultimately didn't hook up. I've talked about that, positive BSU. But if you're talking about like you hooked up with her and then she didn't meet up with you again after that, that's what you call oftentimes she's either negative macro, which means that she's not looking to date outside social circle unless the male is exceedingly, usually like 3 standard deviations above the mean in terms of like appearance, fame, or wealth. So a guy can be like very attractive. Let's just arbitrarily say 97th percentile. You know, he's 6'2", steps out of his Lexus, attractive dude, and like she'll still ghost him. I mean, that's like pretty common. That's negative macro, meaning she'll only consistently date a dude in a social circle, meaning she'll ghost you, but then like 6 months later, you happen to see her out in public with some guy who's more plain, who's not as attractive. There's no judgment, but that's how that can happen when guys see it occur. He's in the social circle, you weren't. So she wasn't willing to date outside of her social circle. She's negative macro. So she was willing to date him though. So the looks thresholds weren't required. So she's negative macro, or she's positive macro, meaning she is open to dating. Her hypergamous thresholds are lower in that moment, but you didn't meet her looks bar. I've said women only care about looks, so that's what it comes down to. But the good, you know, they don't care about your personality. You say lack of masculine polarity. I mean, it depends. Sometimes, you know, like women have a certain type of guy they're into or not into, right? Like some women prefer a guy, like pretty much universally, women prefer men who are more dismissive, not into them. Someone will say that's not true. It's fucking true. Or is it just lack of forwardness? Well, lack of forwardness is just, that's on the initial interaction. If she's positive micro and you're adequately forward, then the interaction can proceed. I'm just going to move to the next question. Reham, hey Mike, hey, you mentioned that cardiac output is decreased anaphylactic shock. No, I didn't. Oh no, increased. Okay, yeah, increased anaphylactic shock. Yep. It says increase or decrease in ambos. No, it's increased. How do we know when it's decreased? It's not decreased, increased. So people get pedantic about like early distributive shock, right? There's an NBME question where they have they say high cardiac output, low pulmonary capillary wedge pressure, low systemic vascular resistance, and the answer is choice A, early septic shock. But they had made a distinction as far as they say early septic shock, early distributive shock, where cardiac output's high, because later in septic shock or distributive shock anaphylaxis, by all means, cardiac output can sometimes fall. But that's like wrong. If you get a USMLE question and you would be selecting increased for septic shock, anaphylactic shock, you would not be selecting decreased cardiac output for that. Let's see, where are we? Let's see. Deep Gorfod. Hey, Mike, I gave my step TCK today. I'm sure about biostats, but unsure about rest of exam. Is that a normal thing? It's not normal. That's like usually the other way around. Like some people like felt fine, but then they're like, biostats killed me. I don't think I've ever heard that actually. That like you were happy about biostats in your exam, but like felt terrible about everything else. That sounds like you asked ChatGPT for like an unusual, what's like the most unusual student like experience coming out of USMLE or something, and ChatGPT comes up with that. I felt amazing about biostats and shitty about everything else. And you'd be like, wow, that was like that's kind of good, a good one. Yeah, that's like weird. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Rayhan Zahid, Ayad, at the end of High Arrows PDF, good explanation, shocks. But no, the biggest difference between step 2 CK and 3, not really any difference. Like literally, they're not like, well, step 3 has 2 days, and the second day has the CCS cases where you have to, actually order tests against a clock. That's the major difference. But the content, like MCQ content's the same. Tushar, favorite music genre and artist? I don't have really. Like at the gym, I listen to a lot of like electronic techno while I'm working out. Then just like mixed other music, like K-pop, rock, some occasionally some rap. I go through like phases, different things. EMB, yeah, I'm a girl. Too shy. Do you have a Spotify playlist? I do. All my YouTube questions are cross-posted to Spotify. So it's on I cross-post to Anchor, and then Anchor will distribute to like, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the different platforms. I occasionally have people find me through Spotify. I've had that happen before. Like where I'll be like a new student will come to me. I meet on the Skype, and then I'm just like, "Where'd you find my content?" Did like a friend give it to you or something? I'm like, "Oh, I know, I found your podcast." I'm like, that's like so fucking weird, because usually it'll be someone saying like a friend sent them my stuff, or that there's like they saw my YouTube or something. But occasionally I've had it where a student is like, I saw your podcast first. Sacred Scout. Yeah, I mean, like I want to answer that. I want to answer. I want to make sure that I get med questions across. Some people are here for my med questions. You know what I mean? Some people don't want me to talk about stuff that's not medical. Some of you like really want me to answer USMLE questions right now. Um, um, Sacred Scout, I'd say in your situation, in my view, it would be lack of forwardness. Username A. Hey man, how's it going? Which MLB team is your favorite? Yankees. I'm wearing a fucking Yankees hat right now. I grew up in New York. I've been to Yankees games. I went to school in Boston though, so like, you know, you say, well, Boston Red Sox. Um, but I just like, despite that, I think growing up, like I still want the Yankees over Red Sox. AP Sans, thanks for the super chat. Really appreciate it. I'll answer your question. You got a 238 NBME 9 with super low cardio GI Palm scores, 53.61%. Most recent NBME dumb mistakes, just will be screenshotting wrongs while using your PDFs. Test July 27. Okay, that's fine. I mean, I've said you don't have to screenshot incorrects from the two CK NBMEs. Like you can, it's not a problem. If your test is July 27th, so soon, you got to make sure you get through 10 through 14 NBMEs. You have to get through those. 100%, you got to get through that NBME content. Let's see. Username A. My question is, what fascinated you to live in Japan? I said I moved here for Asian chicks originally. Like I was keen on learning a new language, but I also moved here because I prefer Asian chicks. Waleed Ahmed, why are some people more inclined to hook up compared to others? I'm getting more dating questions than I am like med questions right now. So much for like not like I was trying not to alienate my like medical audience, because as I said, I know some people like really want the NBME USMLE questions right now for me to answer those, but it's like, what am I going to do? I'm looking at the questions I'm being asked. Waleed, it's a very general question. Why are people a little more inclined to hook up than others? It's a state thing. Okay, it's a state thing. It's all about state. It's all timing. I'd say it's pretty much just all timing. It's not about the male. It's just timing. EMB, it was an arranged marriage, the couple I told you about. Okay. That's social circle, isn't it? EMB? If you're still in the chat, I don't know if you are, but that's social circle, arranged marriage. Yeah, that makes sense. And she may have been enthusiastic. She may have been like, well, my dad wants this dude, you know? And so my mom likes this dude. My mom says, date this dude, marry this guy. My mom said so. And that's pretty much as strong social circle as you can get, don't you think? So that's arranged marriage, yes. I think if your parents are like, marry this guy, he's amazing, that's like pretty much the best endorsement you can get. You're like, well, I wouldn't normally be into him, but my parents are saying, let's go on a date with him. Wouldn't that be nice? Um, Atheist outlaw. People adjust for money, you're saying. Women don't care about money as much as you might imagine. Not on the initial interaction. Yeah, you'd be surprised. The threshold has to be exceedingly high. It can't just be like a little bit. It has to be like exceedingly high. It can't just be like you've got like a Lexus. That's not enough. It has to be like you have, as I've sort of joked about in parody, but I'm really not joking. It literally has to be a high, 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 like threshold, like 3 standard deviations above threshold for it to really matter. Like you take her to your fucking, Ferrari with vertical opening doors or whatever, that might start to move the needle. And then you take her back and it's not some like nice apartment that's like low key, but it's like, you got your fucking pool, your Neptune pool with like lights, with like, uh, granite, your granite, massive granite island in the kitchen, you know, like you got things spiral staircase, up to your like jacuzzi and stuff inside. Like, I mean, that's when you start to move the needle, but you're talking 3 standard deviations above. That's when it starts to matter. If you're just talking about like, above average in terms of wealth, that doesn't make the impact you might imagine. Let's see, crypto trading with Will. It's fucking low yield. Why are we talking about elliptocytosis? Do you think investing in a Bitcoin, even if I only have several $100s available per month, is a G move? Not right now. I think it's going to crash. I could be wrong. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to predict the market and be a billionaire? Okay, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Okay, and then it goes up, and you're like, "Ha, Mike, you were wrong. You were waiting for it to do another leg down. I remember you saying that in your live streams, and you were wrong. Haha." And it went up, never went down again. And you're like, I'd be like, fuck. But I think it's got another leg down. I think people are way too bullish. I think there hasn't been enough pain. There's like no despair. There's no pain. The way you get despair is like people invest thinking the bottom's in. They say, okay, it's in. You get all the people who've been holding out, like I'm kind of holding out. You get people like me who are like, bottom's in, okay. And then you go in heavy and then it crashes. That's how you get despair, where people are like pissed off, really angry, like can't believe it. That's how you get despair. We don't have that yet. So like I did get in while it was like under 20 a little bit, but like um I'm not FOMOing in right now. I think we might get another move higher, and I think you'll get more people FOMOing. Fear of missing out. I think you'll get more people FOMOing in. It might go up to 35, even 40. I think we might see moves upward. But that's how you generate the despair. Is you get people who are like, shit, I did miss the bottom. Fuck. Now I'm going to go in late at 38 or something. And they're like, now I'm going to go in. Okay, fine. And then it fucking does another leg down. The S&P 500 crashes. Bitcoin is still mostly a risk on asset. And so I think I'm banking on there being another leg down. That's my bet. And I could be wrong. As I said, it'd be nice if we could all be billionaires by timing the market. But if I'm right on it and I get it, if it does do another leg down and I'm right, that's how you generate significant wealth. There's an expression that bull markets make you money, bear markets make you rich. So if you get in when it's low, that's how it works. Juan Carlos, doesn't matter if someone studies in the afternoon, even though I wouldn't use your hundreds right now to put into Bitcoin. I wouldn't do that. I think that's a waste right now. Just hold your monopoly money. I don't think that's going to make a big difference for you right now. Juan Carlos, doesn't matter if someone studies in the afternoons, even though the real exam is in the morning. I don't think it matters. Just have good sleep hygiene. Thanks, AP Sans, for the super chat. Your second super chat. Appreciate it, AP Sans. That's funny. That's funny. That's smart. That's smart. You ask multiple questions. Doing NBME every other day until the exam, 6 to 14, except 8, because it was messy with answers on it. Really hope I can get 250 plus. My step 1 was mediocre, 216. 216 is good. I think that's really good for step 1. That's a really good step 1 score, 216. I've said 205, 210 plus is what people should be shooting for, but like 216 is fine. They don't look at your step 1 score anyway. It's blinded. I'm like surprised that you're answering such stage 0 questions, Sacred Scout. I'm surprised. I'm surprised. He said, I mean, there must be something that makes the girl decide to not hook up despite being happy with the male's looks. I believe girls uh, are in a state to DTF can switch or not, question mark. Um, it's often not about the male's looks in terms of like a girl can be very attracted to a dude and just not be in the moment to hook up. That's how it works sometimes. That literally is how women are. Like the reason that might be difficult for you to understand is because guys are equal and opposite. Okay, so guys, like you take, 199 dudes out of 200, and if some random fucking chick walked up to them on the street who's not even like the most attractive and said, "Do you want to watch a movie right now at my place?" He'd be like, "Is this a joke or a troll or something? Like, where's like your friend or camera? What is this a joke?" And she's like, "No, it's not." And after he realizes it's not a joke, you get 199 dudes out of 200 derail their entire afternoon and go watch a movie with the chick at her place. Women are the opposite. So if you as a dude go up to 100 go up to 200 women on the street and you say you want to watch a movie at my place right now, 199 out of 200 are going to say no. Okay, so women are equal and opposite like that. So uh, the same way you can take an attractive guy and he'll be willing to like watch a movie instantly with some maybe more average-ish female, no judgment. You're just asking these questions. The same way he might be willing to do that. Girls reciprocally, uh, maybe she's more plain and he's very attractive, and she'll still say no 199 times out of 200. That doesn't mean she won't exchange. It doesn't mean she's not interested. She'd be like, holy shit, I met this guy. He's like amazing or whatever. But it doesn't mean she's going to like just drop what she's doing and like go to like sometimes, most of the time, no. Okay. Most of the time, no. That's how women are. They have an on and off state, and most of the time it's off state in the moment. Okay. We're not talking about like she's at a bar or party or something. We're talking about like, she's getting on the train and you're like, let's go to a cafe right now. That's state, that's situational. And like most of the time, women are in an off state, and it's not about your looks. You say that doesn't make sense because I just harped on how it matters about male looks. I'm talking about like for her to like want to date you beyond the first interaction. That's largely based on appearance. But when we talk about in the moment, like that moment, that situational state, that's often not tied to looks like you might imagine. Okay. Let's see. I mean, that's why you can be like an attractive young guy and like, you might meet a woman who's older and maybe you in your mind, you think she's not as attractive as you are. And you say, she's way older than I, she's not as attractive as I, and she's still going to say no to you because that's how women are. It's not about looks that way. Guys don't understand that it's a state thing. Let's see. That's why I'm asking, like, because that's a stage 0 concept you're asking me about. That's like stage, like you should know that by now. Like you're not some random fucking like dude in my live stream who's like, who's some like random beta fucking cuck. Like you actually have some experience with like interactions, and like I feel like you should know that by now. Omar, did laboratory techniques stuff are those high yield on USMLE? Not really. Like I actually have and maybe you're referring to this, that I have a biochem module on my website with like, it's literally titled like annoying, like laboratory technique stuff. That's literally the fucking title of the module. Okay. And, like fish, Western blot, Northern blot, occasionally, but it's rare. Those are lower yield stuff, especially for the pass fail step 1. No, it wasn't childhood bullies. That's like atheists. You say, man, hats off to you for coming out of childhood bullies and became, that's like, that doesn't work, that statement. You don't, I said, when I was talking about my insecurities about appearance growing up and how that led to me, like in my 20s, having low self-esteem about appearance, that had nothing to do with, that was family. I had negative voices from family growing up. It was a combination of, I had like one parent that was very, very negative about my appearance. And then I also had a sister who was much more physically attractive than I. She was like very attractive, older sister, and like she got a lot of attention from a lot of people growing up, and I was like the less attractive sibling, and that was hard for me. And I said in prior live stream, like we used to, I joke with her about that now. It's now that we're older and I'm 36, she's almost 40, like we joke about it now. I'm just like, well, you were more attractive. That was hard. That was hard for me growing up. And she's like, well, you were the smart one or whatever. And she's like, you were attractive. And I was like, nah, I was like, you were more attractive. So we have those like conversations now, like as adults, but like, um, those were the two main things, and that led to I had low self-esteem about appearance into my 20s, and I had resentment toward one of my parents for many years, and that had to come to the surface. That came to the surface mainly in my early 30s. That wasn't like too long ago, but I had that had to come to the surface, and it did. And now the relationships are better with people in my family. But that had to come to the surface as far as like I thought I was going to be taking that stuff to the grave originally, but because I moved past that, that's how I can get on on the fucking internet and like talk about that like it's not a big deal. I've come a long way, and it's made me non-judgmental of other people's appearances because I talk about like appearance and dating more objectively, in terms of how it applies. But in terms of my like, I don't have judgment that way because I had a very negative upbringing, being judged negatively myself, and so I've grown past that, and I feel that that became a good thing actually in terms of now not judgmental of people in terms of their appearances. Tushar, when you say do the NDMEs, you mean like expand the topic and read it over, or just stick to the particular answer question mark? Like we have a question on antipsychotics for schizophrenia. Do I read the entire thing? I don't care about the explanations from the NDMEs. I just care that you do all the questions you understand. Username A, do you keep kosher? The answer is no. ENG, past USMLE, shout out to you, dog. Good. EMB, does Spotify charge you any amount to have your playlist Spotify? The answer is no. Deep Gorfod, LOL Mikey, but the thing with biostats was 2 questions. I don't care about the specifics of biostats in your exam, but I understand it's like, it's unusual that you came out of your USMLE saying that biostats was like easy and everything else was like hard. Sacred Scout, you sound female. Like I know you're a dude, but you sound female. Chronic pain. What are you talking about, bro? It's all mental. It's all like psychosomatic. It's like IBS. It's fibromyalgia. You have chronic pain. It's fibromyalgia. That's what you have. I'm actually diagnosing you. I'm not joking. You have fibromyalgia because you have psych issues and you have quote unquote pain. You could say it's pain syndrome, chronic pain syndrome, or pain disorder. I think you have fibromyalgia. You do the gym 1 hour daily. You're drinking kratom tea, which is a semi-opioid, but doesn't help. I think you need to like do less. You need to get rid of substances. I notice a pattern with you like taking way too many substances. I don't think you realize that. Like I constantly just observe substances on your end. You talked about like shrooms, LSD. You talked about like all the different reuptake inhibitors you've been on. I think low dose lithium would help you. I think you need a mood stabilizer, and I know you've had like you have bipolar too. I think you need lithium. I mean, there's no like, it's not ideal, right? It's not ideal in terms of side effects, but like you hop between substances too often, and you have too much lability. VJ. Mike, I was supposed to take step on August 22nd, but I think I'll not pass if I take exam. My NBME is 20. My NBME 20 is 40%, nowhere near pass. So can you please tell me how to study now extend my exam November 22nd? You need to do QBank for a while. You need to do QBank until October. So August, September, October, you need to do QBank for a while. You're nowhere near passing right now. So do all of UWorld. That's what you have to do. If you say you've already done it, then you got to do AMBOSS. because you have a lot of QBank work to do to get your scores up. Indian Dancy, hey, quick question for comp that is coming up. We have to take before step 2. Which NBMEs do you prefer me to take? Trying to reserve NBMEs 9 through 14 for step 2 prep. Yeah, I would do 6 through 8 for comp. You can do that. Indian Dancy. Yeah, that's right. I do 6 through 8. That's right. VJ, any study plan or schedule, Mike? Exactly 120 days from exam. I just fucking said you do QBank for a while. Not going to touch on BME till October. AP Sans, I love you, man. Haven't been on in a while because I'm in crunch time. Grateful YouTube suggests you because I would have been doing UWorld incorrects. Thanks for the super chats again, AP Sans. Appreciate it. Ad, how long do you think is good enough to know a girl until you propose? I think it doesn't matter, actually. I don't think it matters. I think waiting too long is actually a very Western thing. I think like the notion of like, if you ask people who are like secular in Western society, they'll be like, you should know each other for at least like 6 months to a year or something. It's like, why? Like in like very religious communities, they can know each other like 2 weeks. It can be like arranged, and then like, you know, they go out together and then they meet like a few times. It's like 2 weeks and then they propose, or like they decide, okay, yes. I knew that like growing up. Well, I shouldn't say growing up. Like when I was in college, like I would go to some like Shabbos dinners and stuff, and there was like a rabbi's house I went to. He was like 44 and he had 8 kids, and like one of his daughters was 18, married, and they already had a kid, and they had known each other for 2 weeks. Like it was an arranged marriage, and they had known each other like 2 weeks. So I mean, it varies. In Western society, it's like, let's live together for like 2 fucking years and then maybe get married, and then like let's live together another 4 years while the chick has an IUD, and then like, you know, not have kids, and then like maybe have kids, maybe have like 1 kid late when the chick's in her 30s and she's like quote unquote ready. I've said I think that's like bad for society. I think like women should have kids like early, like 19 to 20. I think like 8, like early, like 22, like the latest. I think women should basically have their first kid. ENG, now that because populations are fucking, they're losing it. I mean, we're on population decline here. ENG, now that I passed step 1, what do you recommend for 3rd year towards step 2? I was thinking of doing MBOS questions till dedicated and slamming NBME content. Are you on rotations? I'm assuming ENG, so you're gonna have to do subject specific. I've said that. So you're gonna do for each rotation the questions from QBank. You're gonna do my PDF, my YouTube playlist on that subject. And you do all the clinical mastery series questions, the NBME subject specific questions twice for each rotation. Is Wigger diagram high yield? The answer is no. Juan Carlos, thanks for the super chat. You're 1 month out from CBSC. I'm doing NBME every day. If less than 60, okay, how many days should I stay on incorrects? A month. So I've said about a month, Juan Carlos, you'll be on. If you're like doing shitty on NBMEs, let's say you take NBME 20 and you get like a 189 or lower, NBME 21, 189 or lower, NBME 22, 196 or lower. If you're getting shitty and you go back to UWorld incorrects, I want a month, solid month. So 40 questions, 40 incorrects in the morning. Then the afternoon, evening is going to be your the PDF review of my PDFs. Cardio. I want you to focus, Juan Carlos, on cardio, pulm, renal, gastro, heme, MSK, and derm. But cardio, pulm, renal, gastro, those 4 in particular, I want you to really know hardcore over the next month while you're doing the UWorld incorrects. And then you can go back into NBMEs and see how your scores are at that point. Let's see. Or was I? Braden, is Australian med school price as outlandish as American med schools? The answer is yes. Crypto trading with 80% correction for Bitcoin equals bottom is probably in. Yeah. I mean, once again, I could be wrong. Wouldn't it be great if we could all be billionaires by timing the market? Even, you know, I think what's good news actually, if you're still in the chat, Crypto Trading with Will, I don't know if you're still here, but like, I think some good news is the fact that you get people like Michael Saylor and Kathy Wood who were wrong. Like they're right in the macro in that, like, yeah, Bitcoin's going to go up eventually, but like there's some solace in knowing that like they put in like huge amounts of money like during the bull market in 2021, and that like they were wrong and that it went down. Macro factors largely pushed it down, right? But like we had a double top. Um, but like they were wrong, which tells you that like even the most knowledgeable people like are wrong. So like, that's it'd be nice to be able to guess the bottom, but I'm not FOMOing in. Username A, why are your facial expressions so serious and why don't you laugh? I'm curious to know. I have the same expressions and girls at my uni kind of like it. It's annoying. Like, I mean, people are like fanatical about like the idea of like not laughing enough or not smiling enough. It's like people have like problems. I think guys who smile too much are beta as well. Like I used to have a guy friend in college who would like do this wide fucking smile in all his pictures, and he would like say you should smile more and stuff, and he was like massive fucking cuck beta. Let's see, Benoit Sandor. Did the people at FA know any insider info, or were they a bunch of overworked things? They don't have it. They don't have inside info. They don't have inside info beyond like anything I would know. Because I'm like, my content is like, you know, I know what I'm fucking doing. Inside info, quote unquote, means like you work with students who are taking the exams, you get feedback, and like they don't. It's not like they fucking have like a spy who goes into fucking like NBME headquarters, and like it's not. It doesn't work like that. AP Sons, I missed you, bud. Joey, are Asian chicks worth moving country? That's what I thought when I moved to Japan. What news channels do you follow? I don't follow news channels. I follow some like independent. Um, I follow people on the left and the right. I follow both. I follow both. Um, I don't really follow progressive stuff anymore. I'm not that left anymore. I've moved to the right this year more. Um, yeah, I've started watching like more right wing stuff, but I still do. I check both news. I check CNN. I check Fox News. I check both. I check CNN and I check Fox News. I like to see how they compare on certain things. That's like written news. I don't watch them, but like independent stuff, I follow uh, Vosh. He's good left wing. Uh, Hassan Piker. He's good left wing. But I occasionally watch Ben Shapiro. He's right wing. The Young Turks, not so much. Maybe a little bit I did, but occasionally Tim Pool, not because I agree, just because I like seeing people who are like very fucking biased. And it's kind of like, I think a lot of right wing stuff is like very much like problematic. I mean, you could say that for both sides, obviously. But I mean, um, I don't agree with a lot of stuff I watch. I just get like information. I watch different people. Um, that's what I tend to do, yes. But there were other people more progressive, like Brian Tyler Cohen. He's very good. David Packman. I don't watch them as much anymore, but like they're good. If you're very left, like they're good. Ben Shapiro like nails the abortion arguments really well. Let's see. Tushar. Are you asking a question with that? When we get tracked to hard to get, are you asking a question with that? June Lee, score release tomorrow for step one, so anxious. Hopefully it goes well, June Lee. Angela, Mike, I fucking love you. Actions speak louder than words. There, I laughed. You happy? Did any of your students ever say or do something that kind of stuck with you? Question mark. Has any student who ever failed step one, have they ever matched? Yeah, the answer is yes. I don't make shit up. Like I don't preach. Like people who fail can match. Absolutely. You just can't have entitlement. Like you've got to apply broadly. You can't just be entitled to like I'm going to do obs-gyn only at Mount Sinai or Massachusetts General Hospital or like at Duke. You can't have entitlement. Like if you failed, you have to apply to like Montana, Kentucky, Mississippi, like you have to apply broadly. I'd rather be in those places truthfully than fucking like fuck Boston at this point. I mean, but my point is that you have to apply broadly and you have to apply into transitional years and prelim years, 1-year programs. That's what you got to do. If you have a fail, you got to apply into 1-year programs, not just the categorical full length programs. Guys, give video a like from the live stream. Juan Carlos, thanks again for the super chat. Abdullah Zain, got any suggestions how to tackle biostats? I've got a biostats PDF, but I've said you got to longitudinally do it while you're going through the NBME exams. I said this early in the live stream. So you got to, you can't just study biostats over like 3 to 4 days. You have to do biostats throughout your prep in the Q bank, in the NBMEs. Never exclude biostats from your study and save it for later. Never do that. Biostats requires that you get questions wrong on like odds ratio, relative risk. You're like, fuck, you sleep on it. A few days later, you like wake up, you get more questions wrong. You're like, fuck, you sleep on it. You get questions like, a few days later and you get it right. Like it takes time to like ingrain some of the biostats concepts. Tushar, Sacred Scott, you're not sacred, bro. Pranay, hey sir, since time is limited, do PDFs cover all your video content or should I watch them too? They're different. I said you're going to do both. Fahad Saw, I asked you about step 3 and you said you need some details. So I passed step 2 6 months ago and now I have 1 month free to go hardcore for step 3 aiming. Yeah, at this point what you're going to do, Fahad, is you're going to redo all the CMS forms for step 2. You're going to do all the step 2 NBMEs and you got to go. So the sequence I want, Fahad, is you're going to do all 1900 questions in UWorld step 3. You're going to knock out CCS cases like 2 per night, not many. And you're going to use like ccscases.com. You're going to knock out like 2 per night over time. You need some longitudinal study with that. And then after you finish the 1900 questions in UWorld, you're going to do the CMS form, same as 2CK. You're going to do all the step 2 NBMEs, 6 through 14. You're going to do the single step 3 NBME. And you should do the cardiopulm, renal, gastro, heme, dermatology, and high yield reviews 1, 2, 3, 4 from my PDFs. And then you can sit step 3. Hey, Mike, can you speak Japanese on live stream? Nani hanashite hoshii? Nani hanashite hoshii? Anata kirei da yo. Jose? Dansei? Anata wa nani? Atheist Outlaw, you are so liberal and the community that watches you is 90% Asian. And that's not true. I think you're trolling. When you say Asian, maybe not Oriental Asian. Absolutely not. You get like I'd say a lot of people, I know my demographics. I know like my analytics. Like most people are in the I'd say like maybe 60 plus 65% of people who follow me are in like the US time zones. And then like there's people in the Middle East and stuff. Not really Oriental, not many Oriental Asians. The word Oriental has like like people who are Asian think the word Oriental is like negative. I don't know why that's considered like negative. Like, why is that? I don't think it's negative, but like when you say Asian, that could mean like Russian by all means, couldn't it? So, but when we talk about like, more Oriental type Asians, I don't think that that's a big demographic following me. Did you roll at 80% first NVMe 10 assessment and it's really low? What is your advice? 80% first NVMe 10 assessment is really low. What are you saying? Oh, 80, you got an 80% in UWorld, Rob B. I need your scores. You're not specific enough. Do you like Candace Owens? I don't have any opinion. Atheist Outlaw, do you like Joe Rogan? Like, look at that. I don't really follow Joe Rogan. I've talked about Joe Rogan, but I don't follow Joe Rogan. Um, I think his guests are kind of like too right wing cheesy. Like they're all like low IQ. Like most of his guests are like they're just like so like they're like low IQ right wing guests. Most of them. You say that's not true. He's had like Jordan Peterson or whatever. I mean, like okay, but I'm just saying like the propensity. It tends to be people who are like talking about like conspiracy theories and like there's a lot of that like low IQ stuff that I'm just not into. I'm like, who follows this stuff? Clearly, like many millions of people. It can be just for escapism. You want like, um, people who gravitate toward him, obviously like masculine influence and like fighting and, you know, they're just into that. They like maybe want that masculine perspective. Um, I don't know. He's not like someone that I typically, uh, maybe I'll watch a clip like once a month or something. Occasionally I'll go into because he's on like Spotify now. He's not YouTube anymore, but his like channel that used to have full length clips, like I think it's like what is it? Not the there's another name for it, but the JRE. But he's got occasional short clips that can be interesting. Syed Ahmed 20. Hey Mike, doing your high yield neuroanatomy today is really helpful. Thank you so much. Thanks, Syed. Um, you asked me if I like Joe Rogan twice, Atheist Outlaw. Thanks, Curtis. June Lee, if you fail step one, welcome to North Dakota Family Med. I mean, you make a lot of money if you're in the Dakotas. When you were studying for USMLE, how did you make sure that you were focused, let's say straight for 4 hours? It's funny because I got through my step one prep like without caffeine and just like studying because I was like really, I know this is weird, but I was like really passionate and like interested in like step one study back in the day, back in like 2012 when I was doing it. I was like really interested in like step one prep at the time because it was numerical and I was fighting for a big score. I was like hardcore gunner. I was like the definition of gunner and nerdy at the time. I was really into it. Step two prep was boring as fuck. I hated step two prep. And that was partially how I learned like I didn't want to do medicine because I was like, this stuff is so boring. I want to shoot myself. I liked step one, hated step two prep. Um, but I mean, stay focused. I never had a problem staying focused. I'm able, like, one of my advantages is like I can like focus on like computer work really well if I choose to. Like, if I choose to is the thing. If I'm interested, I can like sit in front of a computer for like forever and do quiet work. EMB, you're in the USA. My Y Prime, good to see you back. Have you been to any country in the Middle East? I've stopped, well, Israel. Been to Israel 4 times. Dr. Rumi, person is starting step one prep. I've flown through other countries. Person is starting step one prep. What should be the sequence of resources to be used? You're talking like the very basic questions. I've said you're going to do UWorld or Amboss. Either one of those Q banks, Dr. Rumi. They're non-superior to each other. UWorld or Amboss, you can choose one. Then after, you're going to do the whole thing. Then after you're done, you're going to do the NBME exams, 20 through 24, free 120, 25 through 31. That's the long story short. EMB, are you like a minimalist? I would consider myself mostly a minimalist, yes. I'm not a full minimalist anymore. I was when I was in my old videos, when I was in that old apartment I was in where it looks like a dorm room, that was like without utilities, that was maybe like $274 a month. So I was paying like maximum like I was paying like 300 uh, a month, not per year or not per week, per month. I was paying like 4K a year for my old unit. Yeah. Like yeah. I make like more than that in like a week, in like days now. Um yeah. I mean, like I'm a minimalist in the fact that like sure I could like uh you know be more profligate and wasteful. I could be. I'm mainly saving for Bitcoin, like I've said that. Benoy, I'm in Southeast Asia, so I'm technically Oriental. LOL. It's not offensive. Americans just tell us it is. No, like I was dating a Vietnamese chick when I was in Australia who like I said the word Oriental once and she was like offended. Like I didn't call her Oriental, but she was like she had told me like that she was like offended that like she was like that's not good to like say Oriental. The funny thing is I was hanging out with Vietnamese female today too. Not the same one. EMB, do you like I don't know who that is. Rob B, I have done UWorld at 80% with mean score 65%. My first assessment maybe 10 was 210. What do you suggest I do? Well, 210's a fail because you need 214 for step 2. Um, well, when's your 45 weeks? You need to do all the CMS forms. That's what you need to do. You need to postpone. Um, I would say you need to do all the CMS forms. Then you're going to do 6 through 8. Then you're going to do a double pass of all the CMS forms, then free 120, then 9 through 14. Mazur, how to deal with infamy of being known as approach guy in your city? Doesn't fucking matter. That's like that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Ankita, everyone keeps saying the real step queues are much longer than an NBME. So how to finish? No, they're not longer. They're the same. So when you go into the real USMLE, they're the and same as the NBME questions. The NBME questions, when you do those forms like 20 through 31, the interface looks different from the real USMLE. So the NBME questions are wider and shorter than and shorter down the page than the real USMLE. The real USMLE is going to look like UWorld. It's going to look like the free 120 if you do it online. So the questions are narrower and longer down the page when you do UWorld and free 120 and the real USMLE. So there's this illusion that they're longer. They're not longer. They're narrower and longer down the page, but the text is the same length. Okay, the NBMEs, as I repeat, are wider and shorter down the page, but the questions are the same. Crypto trading with Will. I'm not into altcoins. I have a very, very boring portfolio. I'm like 98% Bitcoin. I have a very, very boring portfolio. I got slammed on Cardano. That was the biggest fucking like. I took a big L on Cardano. I know you can understand that. That there was so much hype around Cardano. I just capitulated, and by all means, maybe it could go on to $4 in the future or something. But I capitulated out of Cardano and just converted it all into Bitcoin. I took my L. I was like, I'm not dealing. I was like, I don't even want to deal with this shit right now. I'm out, and I just converted it all into Bitcoin. That was like last year sometime. I took a big L on that, but I'm just like, I'm all Bitcoin. It's hilarious, dude. That is so funny. Abcom 98, Windows or Mac. Like, how does that like information, like, how is that like an interest of yours in terms of like info I give? And people want to know like USMLE questions or something, and you're asking like Windows or Mac. Right now I'm Mac. I don't like Mac though. I just think that his Mac has fewer problems than like Windows. Like when I used to have old like Dell computers and stuff, they would crash all the time. They were just terrible fucking computers. And like the Macs, like the Mac laptop I have, the iPhone, I think they work very well. But I don't like. I preferred the start menu. I liked the PC type of interface better. Like I liked the start menu. I liked the commands better. Um, there's certain things I like better about PC, but at this point, it's like they know how to create these computers where you become dependent on their platform, very acclimated to their platform. There's pretty much like no going back. It's like switching languages or something. It's like moving to a new country. You have to like learn French. You're like, fuck. So it's like, you go to Android or from Android to iPhone, you're like, you got to adapt over like months. I don't really want to do that. Tushar, what's your view on makeup for girls? Not to sound anti-feminist, but it's too a bit much these days. There are layers of whatnot, and it's just a different person beneath them. I prefer women who wear makeup. I think that that's me. I prefer like women who are like very feminine, and like I like women who've had plastics. I like women who not like too much makeup. I'm not talking about like drag queen style fucking makeup. I'm talking like nothing like tawdry or anything. Um, but or tacky. But I like uh, I don't like women who are lazy in terms of like I prefer you're asking these questions, I'm fucking answering it. I'm just saying. Like I like females who like dress like females in clothing that is more provocative. I like that. I don't really know what to say. It's is that like a bad thing that like I like yes, I prefer that. Um let's see. But no, like you're saying you don't like layers of makeup and all this. I disagree. Like um if a woman doesn't wear like makeup and like if a woman doesn't have like long nails, I don't like that. Like I like nails on a female. If a female doesn't have nails, I don't like that. That's actually a tip. There's some girls watching this who are like, shit, seriously? Not because of me, but because in general, they're like, shit, I didn't realize guys like cared about that. Um, at least for me, like if a chick like doesn't have nails, like if she has nails like mine, they're just like nothing. They're just like like my nails. Uh, I don't like that. I like a female has to have nails, and like they need to be long, and they need to be very like you know excessive, like glittered out jewels and stuff like that. And it's like if they work in an environment where they can't have that, that's a negative for her, unfortunately. But like I've said, I'm not into like you know career focused women. I'm not into that. See, June Lee. Hey, Mike, for people who are doing rotations third year, do you recommend doing CMS forms first or QBank first? I've said never do CMS first. You do QBank first, for sure. For rotations, like in general, you would do whether you're on rotations or whether I knew you're gonna someone was gonna say that appy, but June Lee, whether you're on rotations or whether your post grad studying for step two, you're going to do QBank before CMS. Appy Mali says, you mean Palestine? That's like laughable. When I said before I'd been to Israel 4 times, I knew there was someone who was going to get offended. They'd be like, you mean Palestine? You guys took it from us. It's Palestine. It's not Israel. When I was 23 and I was in first year med, like my girlfriend at the time, my dormitory in Australia, um, she was from Abu Dhabi, and like this happened once. Like we were like looking at photos or something on my computer, and like I was like, these were from when I was like in Israel, and she was like, you mean Palestine? And I was like, well, I was in Israel, and she's like, no, you mean Palestine. We had like an argument about it. Like I was like pissed off, and she was like pissed off. Like we were like pissed off at each other because like she was like adamant. She's like, you guys took it from us. She's like, it's not Israel, it's Palestine. And I was like kind of like annoyed that like she was not like admitting that like Israel existed. That was like actually like a point of contention. Um, I'm not like political in that sense. Like I don't give a fuck. It's just like I don't know why people get like just acknowledge that like there's certain territories that exist. Let's see, Curtis, Cannabis, your McCannabis. Is that your real name? Cannabis? Your streams are very enjoyable, bro. Um, what advice would you give to be focused like you? Well, I didn't drink caffeine at the time, but like um, now I would say if you're interested, you can just do the questions. If you're not interested, you have to caffeinate your way through step prep. Abcom, why do you spend so much time at the gym? 1 hour is more than enough unless you're doing no, 1 hour is not enough. 2 hours is like the minimum that one should do at the gym. Ideally. The answer is yes, crypto trading with Will, of course. What's going on, George? What the fuck? You picked your HUD, you picked atropine? Well, yeah, of course. It's passable. I said atropine's first. I asked for the second agent. EMB, you like the Kardashians? Question mark. I don't have any opinion. Someone asked me that. Was that you who asked me in the last stream? Someone asked me about the like 2 streams ago. Someone asked about the Kardashians, And I was like, I've never even had 0% of my thought, not like 0.1. I've never had 0% of my thought process even like give a fuck about that remotely. If there's clip-on nails for people who work doesn't allow them, good. I don't like that's like a secret. That's a secret, ladies. That like guys like long decorated nails on women. As I said, if I meet a female and she like has nails like mine, I don't like that. Like I find that unattractive. I don't like that. Like I like done up nails, like long. They have to be long, and they have to be like jeweled, fucking like real glittered up, like crazy fucking like expensive nails. I think that's a very important thing for a female. Um, but women have their own things they're interested in. You know what I mean? That they might not voice necessarily. You know, like they want a dude who's like real fucking jacked who wears like a singlet. They really want a dude who wears singlets. Okay, I like guys who wear fucking tank tops and singlets. I don't like guys who wear t-shirts. Or I like guys who wear V-necks and he's got tats on his chest or something. I like a guy who has a tat on his chest. That's a huge thing that turns me on. Like, I mean, there's going to be girls that have their own thing that they like too. But I'm saying like, you know, long decorated nails in a female, very, very important. That's an easy way to go up like an entire like tier as a female. That's a secret female. So that's a very important like that's an easy way to go up an entire tier. Sup, Mike? Do you have general study tips? Hope you are doing well, brother. I don't have general study tips. I don't like questions like that. Cardi, I'm just gonna block you. I love that. No, it's fine, Atheist Style. I just deleted him. He's gone. That's fine. He's gone. I didn't even look at the other questions. He's gone. Cardi's gone. That's it. Blocked. Deleted. Everything's gone. I didn't look at the other questions. I said you gotta like. I don't give a fuck. Let's see. EMB. No, I didn't ask that in the past. The first time. June Lee. Hey, Mike. My first rotation is peds. How to ace peds rotation. What not to do? LOL. I already talked about how to ace your rotation. Like, didn't I already talk about this like a million times? You're gonna do a tetrad on your rotation. Number one, you're gonna do all the UWorld or MBOS questions for peds. Number two, peds PDF. Number three, YouTube MCQ playlist for peds. Number four, all the CMS forms twice. It makes me think that you asked your question, left the chat, and now you're back in because I answered your question extensively earlier. George, Scott, you have your first rotation is surgery in third year. Any advice? Oh, same thing except for surgery. YouTube Ramboss questions in surgery PDF that I have, including the gastro PDF. That's a really important one for surgery. High yield risk factors PDF. That's a good one for surgery as well, like carotid stenosis, interventions. And then, of course, the CMS forms for surgery. All 8 of them, you're going to do them twice. EMB, everyone here in the States have long, witchy nails. Not necessarily witchy, like not pointy, not necessarily pointy. I don't like pointy, too pointy. They have to be long and like glittered and like jeweled up. It's very, very important for a female. Very. You say it's big business in the USA. It's not just the USA. What do you mean? It's not. Maybe you're not saying USA alone, but that's a huge thing in like Japan too. It's important. This is going to sound really weird. Like if I don't like chicks who have like I prefer a chick if she has well done eyebrows too, and it's because I do my fucking eyebrows as a dude. But it's like, if I meet a chick and she doesn't take care of herself that way, I like girls that are like high maintenance. I think that's attractive. I like high maintenance females. I like that. I mean, I've said I like girls who look like they've had plastic surgery, and I think that's a good thing, not a bad thing. Like girls who look like they've had injected lips, I think that's a good thing, not a bad thing. And a girl who looks like she's had 5 rhinoplasties, I think that's a good thing, not a bad thing. And who wears makeup, who does good eyebrows and has long nails, and who wears like tight, short like dresses and stuff, like and heels. This isn't like a parody. This is like literally like It's like, man, Mike said he like likes women who dress like attractive women. Oh my god. Like, how is that weird? Like, guys aren't interested in like girls who are wearing like a mask, no makeup, baggy clothing, like no nails. Like, how is that attractive? It's not. Let's see. Abcom. I've answered like all your questions, Abcom. What do you mean? Hey, Marcos. How long after pre step one does it take to lose the progress obtained? I have 2 week gap from when I'm finished step prep to when I'm sitting step. Um, 2 week gap from when I'm finished step prep to when I'm. Oh, yeah, that's not a good thing. I don't like that. I don't like that loss of momentum there. No, that's not a good thing. You're going to have to do what you can to. Why would you finish step prep and then have a 2 week gap? That makes no sense. If you're going on vacation or something, I don't know. But you got to like be reviewing MBMEs. No, I don't want you to have a gap like that. So you got to be reviewing MBMEs leading up to your exam. You got to sort that out. Mark D, school provides free Amboss Bank. Still worth getting UWorld if I have the time. No, you can just do Amboss. I said they're non-superior. T. Gibson, you seem moody today, Mike. Is everything still good, man? Yes, everything's great. Are you a chick or are you a dude? Because, I mean, you're asking if I'm moody. That's like laughable, bro. Are you like offended? Are you salty? Do you need me to be nicer? Do you need me to be nicer to you? Do you need me to smile for you? Atheist Outlaw, I don't know that person. Can you ever videos on Punnett squares, population frequency, Hardy Weinberg? I have an excellent genetics PDF. You should do that, EMB. You're like, yeah, I know, but I want you to do the videos. I get it, but I'm saying like, do the genetics PDF, then ask questions about me making more Hardy Weinberg. Would you spend your money on a high maintenance girl? Ask EMB. The answer is yes. I'm okay with like spending money on chicks, believe it or not. It's because I also have money. It's like, oh shit, that's gonna like. Have you been in New Jersey? My dad's in Jersey. I'm going to New York. I said in August to see family. ST Scholl graduate, 2015 year grad, no visa, IMG with no special CV. Start preparing for USMLE now. If you want to go to the US, then yes. Just know that being out of med school for a long time is obviously going to hurt. It's going to be deleterious. ST. It's going to be deleterious being outside of, having had your graduation long ago. But you're going to have to do well. And you say start prepping now. If your dream is to go to the fucking United States, then yes. Okay, or if you want to practice in like Israel, for example. But like, you got to sit step one first, pass. It can take you 3 months, 4 months for 2CK, and then you need 2 more months for step three, OET in step three. So you need basically 9 months. ABCON. You don't know my situation in terms of like partners and what I do. What kind of profession would I avoid in my partner? I've said I don't prefer women who pursue career. I've said that. Jinty, I'm a dude, man. Just making sure you're all good. Yeah, I know, but you're asking about like my mood. That's like why? Like why? It's like saying like you look tired. Are you okay? Are you tired? Are you tired today? And the person's like, no, why? And you're just like, I don't know. I just thought you were like tired. It's like that's like the worst fucking thing you can say to someone. So if your input is like, are you okay? Are you okay? You seem like you're like not good today. You seem like you're in a bad mood today. Are you okay? And the person's like, I'm great. Why? And you're just like, I don't know. You just don't seem good. And you're like, all right, well, I'm good. So it's like, you know, the dumbest low IQ thing you can say to another human being is, you look tired, or are you tired? That's the lowest IQ thing you can say to another human. Are you tired? Are you tired? Are you okay? They're like, I'm great. I feel amazing. I feel great. You're like, all right, well, I just thought you were maybe tired. And they're like, I'm not tired. I feel great. You're like, all right, well, I guess have a good day. And you're like, have a good day. See you later. That added to my day. I appreciate your comment. Let's see. Can I have an autograph when I visit Japan, Atheist Outlaw? If you're a chick, sure. If you're a dude, no. Sjogren syndrome, SS. Would you marry a girl who doesn't respect you, but that's like an absolute, that's a troll. That's a troll. Marissa, nice. I live in New York. I take step one tomorrow. Thanks for all your help along the way, hoping for the best. Thank you, Marissa. Abcom98. Abhishek. Hey, starting referring to your PDFs for step one. They're really good. Exam in 2 months. What else would you suggest? I mean, dude, I've said for step one, you're going to do UWorld, my PDFs, my YouTube MCQs, and all the NBME exams. Gotta do QBank until you're a month out, then you're going to do the NBMEs. Natalie, I hope we get to meet you when you come to New York City. We'll go to the pizza place you talked about earlier. What pizza place? What pizza place did I talk about earlier? I may have mentioned like Sabaros, but that doesn't, is that like everywhere in New York? Mark D. Thanks, Mike. As an Australian student, 2 years from grad, is it realistic to sit step one with 5 months prep while in rotations? I'm going away first half of next year, and 5 months is enough time. You just got to knock out UWorld for step one, and then do the NBMEs, and then just sit. Well, Jinty, I don't know if you're trolling. I mean, I don't know if you're trolling. You know, I'm very cutthroat. I tend to just block people like you. I can turn people from like fans into like into haters real fast. I don't like people who are negative. I don't like that. You say, why am I asking question mark? Because I'm a fan of your streams and you seem a bit down today. No malice intended. I don't like that. I think that's low IQ. I don't like that. I just harped on. I literally just made like a production out of like, I think the worst thing you can do, the worst like insertion you can have in another human being's life is to like pop into their day in some way, shape, or form. Be like, are you tired? Are you okay? Are you okay? And they're like, yeah, why? And you're like, you just seem out of it. You just seem tired, or you just don't seem like you're okay today. And they're like, I'm great. They're like, I'm great. And you're like, all right, I just thought you were tired. They're like, I'm not tired. I'm great. And you're like, okay, I hope you're okay then. I just thought you were down. I'm not down. I'm great. And then you just go your separate ways. And it's like, well, that was a low IQ interaction. Like, I don't like that. Watver Valend. What's your opinion on internal medicine? Do you like it? Yeah, I like IM. I think IM's very, I'm not into like hospital stuff. Like, I didn't like hospital. I really liked family medicine when I was in med school. Like, I hated surgery. So if it were surgery or IM, I would go IM for sure. But I didn't like hospital. I found it really boring. I didn't like hospital. I liked outpatient clinic stuff better. Um, I don't like that question, Atheist Outlaw. Syed, exam in 1 month. Done with NBMEs 20 through 25. Left with many NBMEs, UWSAs in your PDF, so I don't know how to prioritize freaking out. Your exams in 1 month. Well, you should be nothing but NBMEs your final month. I've said that. Nothing but NBMEs the final month. I'm flattered if you do my PDFs like high yield arrows, in the final month for sure. But I just like, would I ever consider becoming faculty at a university? The answer is no. And I don't think faculty would want me for the most part because I'm like too unconventional and I would offend like too many people. It's not hard for like a university. It would be like a university hires me or something. And then they'd be like, he's got all these opinions on dating. Like, look. And then they're like, oh shit, that's like, so the only way is like I'd have to have a lot of influence to override that type of thing, but I wouldn't even be interested. I wouldn't be interested. Why would I want to be confined to like someone else telling me what to do? Like, why would I want that? But if like a Caribbean school or something, where like, any school where like, hey, will you be like our lead USMLE person? You got to like, come up with all the lectures, do all the, all the content. I still, they'd have to pay me like over $1 million a year. They'd have to pay me like, and I think like even if it were literally $1 million, like not a joke, I would like still basically like, I don't think so. I don't know. I wouldn't really like be interested in that. It would have to be like well over $1 million for a year maybe, and I would like do it. The Don Man, any MCAT advice? Not really. I've said do like Princeton Review. You could do Princeton review book, and do practice exams. Hey, my descendants were Jewish too. Have you ever read Torah? I was bar mitzvahed. I don't like your questions, atheist outlaw. I don't like those. I don't like those questions, guys. I'm going to go to the gym. That's what I'm gonna do right now. All right. So obviously, I'm gonna make more live streams. All right, guys. So, guys, give the video a like. I really appreciate it. All right.